How did the Saints fans handle the first loss of the season that the Philadelphia Eagles delivered to the New Orleans Saints front doorstep? Ladies and gentlemen, today we are taking a look at the subreddit, the Saints subreddit, the Who Dat Nation, if you will. The question I pose is, what was being said from Saints fans during the game, during, of course, the struggle, the absolute gut-wrenching, heartbreaking loss that the Saints had yesterday to the Philadelphia Eagles, 15-12, one of the ugliest games, one of the worst, most exciting games possible with a horrific ending. And we're going to take a look. We're going to dive deep into the Reddits. So it'll be a trying time today on the channel. The first one, the backdrop, I want to die, says this hombre right here. Okay. So we have the Week 3 post-game thread. We'll go ahead and take a look at that, huh? Let's take a look at that. You know what? I would have taken 2-1 to start the year. Defense is still elite. We just ran up against a pissed-off team. Hope McCoy is healthy. He clearly is the linchpin on that line. Word on the street is that, and this is directionally right. I think this is directionally correct. I think, defense is still elite, pissed-off team. Did we lose because the Eagles were a pissed-off team? Probably not. We mostly lost because we lose Eric McCoy. Eric McCoy was, as the way I understand it, he is calling the protection packages for the offensive line. He is handling that for Derek Carr, which allows Carr to just kind of free up and play. So when McCoy goes out and that responsibility of orchestrating the pass protection, orchestrating the line, all of a sudden you see Derek Carr isn't being protected. All of a sudden you see people not being blocked. All of a sudden you see we can't run the football. So, I don't think it's a coincidence that McCoy goes out and what had been a great offensive line over 2 games just completely crumbled. Also, Taysom Hill not being there, we'll see more throughout the week, but I think it showed just how limited the playbook was. I mean, where was the motion? Where was any of the the exciting stuff we saw through 2 weeks? Not to mention 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Those are Taysom Hill packages, and we didn't have them. We had to go to other plays, and we had to go to it was just a perfect storm to where we're using lower efficiency plays with an offensive line who is not only 2 people playing out of position, but with a lack of understanding of who should be where and who should be doing what. So just poor all around. As far as the defense still being elite, we gave up. Let's take a look. The defense, the elite, quote-unquote elite defense, gave up 500 yards of total offense, 7 yards per play, and 7 yards per rush. So if this is what elite looks like, concerning. What I would say is that the defense gave up a lot and more, and Philly couldn't take advantage, whether it was Sirianni going for it on 4th downs, or choosing not to kick field goals, or choosing when to kick field goals, or Jalen Hurts turning the ball over, or whatever. But I would say I would not classify this as an elite defensive performance. Let's see here. Better to work out this stuff now than in December or January. True. As far as this stuff, I would say working out this stuff right now is just Taysom Hill and Eric McCoy being healthy. Dude, I was telling people before the game we are choking. That's not what happened. Again, we didn't choke as much as we were banged up. We were confused. We're a shallow roster. I always err towards the side of quantifying the thing. You like to try, and the only way you can get better is if you figure out what went wrong. Using terms like we choked, or they were pissed off, or we didn't have the grit, or whatever, those terms you can't quantify. You can't fix the problem. They're just amorphous words that don't really mean anything. Like momentum. People were saying this team was going to be 1-5 6 weeks in, and that Allen would be fired and Carr would be benched. The team was actually pretty good. It just came up short in an ugly game against another playoff caliber team. Yeah, I mean, this is 100% correct. Yeah, it was an ugly game. It was a C minus, maybe even a D performance from the Saints. Like, it was one of the worst performances possible. I mean, everyone was bad. No one was good. No facet of this team was good, except probably special teams. So the Saints throw their D game against a Philly team who could easily be, who should have been 2-0 going into this game, who should be 3-0 now, who arguably is, not even arguably, one of the 4-ish, 5-ish best teams in the NFC. Probably going to be the NFC East division winner. Two years ago, removed from a Super Bowl. Like, this is a good Philadelphia team. We're not doing this against the Panthers. We're not doing this against the Titans. Okay, so we do this against the Eagles. We still keep it competitive, even with a D-minus game, even with giving up 500 yards of offense, even with all the stuff I listed. And we're still 2-1. Newsflash. If we do this same thing 5 more times, we're 11-6. You know, like, today, Monday morning, this sucks. Like, I slept like garbage last night. I was miserable because of this game. It was a brutal thing to sit there and watch. But when you take 40 steps back and say, well, this team was expected to lose 10 games. We were expected to lose or have our head coach fired. We were expected to do this and do that and do this. And all of a sudden now, like, we lose to a team that could easily represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And for our first loss of the year, and you know, it's abandoned the ship. Here's the deal. All eyes are now on Atlanta. I'll tell you that. All eyes are on Atlanta, because if you walk into Atlanta and man, Atlanta, if they are down 2 linemen, the 2 linemen who got hurt against Kansas City last night, if they are down those 2 linemen, that is huge for us. And if they are down those 2 linemen and we go into Atlanta and win, and we're 3-1, 2-0 in the division, whoo, man, the season is on at that point. Now, yeah, if we look the same against Atlanta, okay, panic. It's time to panic. Widespread, you know what I'm saying? But if we beat Atlanta, the season is back. Interception, fumble recovery, block punt, missed field goal, held to 15, and we still lost. Defense should be pissed. Already covered that. We did that to ourselves with a 3-way collision. What a shame, but what a game. Yeah, I mean, he's talking about the last play, or not the last play, but he's talking about the play to Goddard. 3rd and 16. I mean, it's just, that's the part that's really upsetting. It's like, all that happened, right? Like, everything bad that happened is 3rd and 16. 3rd and 16 with a good defensive coach, great defensive coach. They have literally one player at that point. Devontae Smith's hurt. Saquon Barkley's not going to get the ball in 3rd and 16. So it's like, how in the world? I understand that players ran into each other. And Dennis Allen said that he was double covered. Like, Dennis Allen said Dallas Goedert was doubled on that play, which shows you just how busted the coverage was. Because if he was doubled and that collision happens to free him up to that extent, like, good Lord. You know, I mean, just think about how different the game was if they just allow like an 8-yard completion. All of a sudden it's 4th and 8 with the game on the line. Like, absolutely sickening. Absolutely sickening. Let's see here. 3 turnovers, nothing to show for it. That's literally the opportunity right there. On to the next. Perhaps the crowning of KK, that's Clint Kubiak, ladies and gentlemen, was a bit premature. I'm actually shocked how many Eagles fans were at the Dome today. Yeah, I'll say that. Like, the Eagles, it was crazy how many Eagles fans were there. It was a straight-up takeover. It was very similar to the Lions game. And, you know, you never know why, because I was actually talking on the way to the Dome. We were talking about how now, because ticket prices have risen, like, you know, Saints fans who bought in and have season tickets at good prices, they do have a financial incentive to sell tickets. So you wonder if that's what happened or what. But I'll say 2 things. One, there was a crazy amount of Eagles fans. I mean, it was deafening for the Eagles. 2, Philly fans were obnoxious as hell in the Dome. I'll say that. Like some fan bases are pretty chill. It's not that big of a deal. But Philly fans were pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. Our O-line got dominated today. If McCoy's out for a while, we might be screwed. The part of this sentence that I would disagree with is the our part. Like, that's not our O-line. That is a makeshift, like, moment, in that moment, offensive line. That's not our offensive line. That's not the Saints' offensive line. That is moving pieces of a broken offensive line that was jumbled together on the third play of the day. You know, so now this part, if McCoy's out for a while, we might be screwed. Yes, correct. Anyone blaming Carr is insane. The O-line crumbled in every single play. There were so many balls that should be caught that were dropped. I get being emotional. I get being angry, but you got to direct that anger to the right place. I do agree he shares some blame. He did throw the interception, but he wasn't the one to get the penalties to push them back 15 yards. They should have been in field goal range, but Penning messed that one up. Yeah, Carr was bad. I mean, Carr was bad this game, but everyone was bad this game. You know, like Carr, he wasn't good. Was he the reason we lost? No, but I mean, no one's gonna. I'm not blaming Derek Carr, but he wasn't good. I'm not blaming, you know, whatever, Alvin Kamara, but 3.3 yards a carry ain't doing it. I'm not blaming the defense, but giving up 500 yards and 7 yards per play ain't doing it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's not Carr's fault, but it you know, it was ugly. Let's see here. Well, the NFC South is actually wide open, just not in the way we were thinking for the first 2 weeks. I mean, it kind of is, though. Like, it actually kind of is. Like, the NFC South is exactly what we thought it was going to be. The NFC South is a really competitive division with good teams. I mean, even now, Carolina with Andy Dalton is, you know, you don't know. Like, maybe, you know, maybe Carolina can compete. But yeah, this is pretty much exactly what I expected. But again, like, if we go into Atlanta and beat Atlanta and we're 3-1, 2-0 in the division, Atlanta's 1-3. Like, that is a huge, huge deal. Huge deal. So the NFC South's wide open. And, you know, like, the whole, like, the idea of panicking right now, like, look at the standings, okay? Would you say the Houston Texans should panic? Like, if you're a Texans fan, would you be saying, like, fire Bobby Slowick, get rid of C.J. Stroud, maybe C.J. Stroud's not as good as we thought he was, oh, the defense, you know, like, that would sound crazy, right? But if you look at Houston, like, they're 2-1. They just got rolled against Minnesota. They have scored 55 points on the season and allowed 74. They have a negative 19 point differential. So if you look at just that, it's like, well, maybe Houston should panic, right? But you would never say, like, okay, Houston should definitely panic. Baltimore, they're 1-2. Should they panic? No, right? Like, just because it's the Saints and we're so like inside of that bubble, you know, of course people want to jump off of the train and they want to already say fire Clint Kubiak and whatnot. But, you know, should San Francisco panic? Should Houston panic? Should Baltimore panic? No, it's a long season. Should the Saints panic? No, it's a long season. Interior O-line is going to be a huge issue, especially if McCoy is out for a while. Anyone annoying to lose, but not the worst, on the next week. Fix the damn jerseys. Yeah, that was weird. I saw the numbers. A lot of the offensive lineman numbers were like a totally different shade of gold. Is Fanatics doing the jerseys? What's going on here? Let's see. We played a bad game against a good team. We can bounce back. Still 2-1. True. If Clint takes credit for week 1 and 2, then he's to blame for week 3 too. Got to score more than 15 points, especially with the takeaways and the fourth down stops. Yeah, I mean, Kubiak, I think what happened, you know, just schematically, I guess, is that Fangio basically said, we're gonna put 5 in the box and stop the run, is what Fangio's plan was, right? And Kubiak didn't have an answer. He didn't have a counterpunch. And he didn't. I think we learned exactly what can happen to the Saints if they aren't allowed to do what they want to do. Now, flip side of that is we didn't have all the pieces. You know, like, we don't know. I can only guess right now that Kubiak was not comfortable getting into certain plays in the playbook without Eric McCoy and without Taysom Hill. So I think Kubiak dared him to do something that he didn't have the horses to do. You know, like, you don't. I'm not going to say we would have won the game with McCoy and Taysom, but I don't think we would have just ran Kamara 26 times up the middle. I don't think that would have happened. I am kind of surprised that Kamara wasn't utilized more in the passing game. With the pressure that they were getting, with the pressure Philadelphia was getting, with how weak the offensive line was, I was kind of surprised we didn't see more like screens. We didn't see more Kamara out, in space and whatnot. So that was kind of surprising too. But it also was one of those things where it's easy to say, well, maybe we should have just thrown the ball to Chris Olave all day. But then you wonder, like, did Kubiak have faith in the protection? I don't know. Taysom being out literally changed the entire game. Injuries suck. Yeah, Taysom and McCoy. Yeah. Kind of hard to blame that when the Eagles lost Brown, Smith, Slay, Johnson, and Dickerson. See, like, this is one of those things where it's like it's not a 1-for-1. It's not a 1-for-1. It's not just injuries. It's not like injuries changed the game. It's that injuries, those specific injuries, changed our system, which you see now just how important the system is to this team. At no point was I confident we closed out on 3rd and 16 with a minute left. I thought we were good to go. I was absolutely stunned. I thought we were good to go. I couldn't believe it. 4 straight runs after getting a turnover. It's the dumbest play calling I've ever seen. The game was lost right there. RIP, great offense of September 8th to September 21st. One tough loss, and y'all want to throw the season away. Kubiak has to go back to the lab to figure out if this run game isn't working, and our O-line isn't giving Carr enough protection. Defense can't blame them considering they played lights out until the end. Going to be a long week for the coaching staff. Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. Like, it's up to now we see what Kubiak can do, how he can counterpunch. I mean, that's it. Like, Kubiak got punched in the mouth. Fangio came in with a game plan that worked. Kubiak couldn't adjust to it, whether it was because of McCoy, whether it was because of whether it was because of Taysom being out. I don't know. But yeah, I do think now you're going to see, like, okay, because here's the bad news. Bad news is that the game script is out. These teams now that want to stop the Saints are just going to do what Fangio did. Like, that's it. They just had 4 quarters to see how to stop the Saints, theoretically. So you're going to see now, like, Raheem Morris, I'm sure today is watching this game. I'm sure he's watching, okay, how did the Eagles do this? What was the plan? What was it? Is it 5 in the box? Is it 6 in the box? Is it, what do we have to do? Is it stunts? What was confusing them? And this is what you're going to see moving forward. So Kubiak has 5 days to figure out how he can adjust to the adjustment. That's it. This is the question. The new question is, now the blueprint's out of how to stop the Saints. Is Clint Kubiak good enough, right now in his career, is he good enough to adjust to it? And if we go to Atlanta and it's 3-0 at halftime, yeah, we'll have some big questions, for sure. Terrible play calling today. 2nd and 10 plus runs and 3rd and long throwing short of the sticks. Yeah, the short of the sticks thing, like, again, we'll have to look at the plays, but I know, like, the Mason Tipton one, Carr's time was out. Like, time was out. He had to get rid of the ball. Tipton was in front of the sticks. I need Taysom and McCoy to return. True. Clint needs to show us he can adjust when things aren't working. True. DA should have challenged one, if not both, Shaheed catch or the Kamara first. Yeah, like, I was in the stand, so it's hard for me to see some of the replays, but I did think Kamara was worth a challenge on the 4th and 1. Maybe I'm wrong. And then the Shaheed catch, the one that was either a catch or an interception or whatever, but I was surprised that didn't get looked at either. I also heard people saying, like, Devontae Smith fumbled. So I don't know. Like I said, they don't show the replays in the dome, but, 3rd and 16 and we blitz. That's what lost us the game. No. I don't have a problem with the blitz. I have a problem with. I mean, if he was doubled, like I have no problem. If that's the case, if Dallas Goedert was doubled on that play and we blitz, I have no problem with that. I don't like the idea of 3rd and 16. You let the quarterback sit back there forever. I like getting a little bit of pressure on him. And if our players don't triple pick each other, we're probably okay there. Need McCoy back ASAP. True. Should never be in a last-minute scrap with 2 takeaways, 2 fourth-down stops, and a blocked punt. It was a good 2 weeks, fellas. Back to hell. Let's wait on that. The defensive play calling was god-awful several times. Derek Carr took us all a memory lane there in the end. We had a minute left. Tough loss. Go next. The play calling in the end wasn't even bad. Goddard would have been covered if 3 Saints defensive backs didn't all run straight into each other for a group hug. The offensive line got exposed today. See, it's just like this is what's kind of crazy to me. This is what's crazy to me. Like these sentences right here. The offensive line got exposed today. What offensive line? The offensive line with Lucas Patrick playing center? Yeah, for sure. That got exposed. Our fifth combination of offensive linemen on the depth chart, yes, they got exposed. If we have to roll Lucas Patrick out there at center, and who the hell even ended up, because I know Saldivari was in there after Ruiz got hurt. Was it Udo was in there? That got exposed. Yes, that offensive line got exposed on 15-minute prep. No doubt about it. But is that our offensive line? No. So I don't understand. I don't understand those kind of takes. Just like I don't understand this. The Saints got punched in the mouth and crumbled under adversity. I don't think that's what happened either. These are the amorphous things that are said that you cannot quantify and you cannot fix. Punched in the mouth, crumbled under adversity, getting exposed. Saints came into this game feeling high off of back-to-back 40-plus performances and forgot the Eagles won't just roll over for us. I don't think the Saints came in on their high horse. I don't think that was the reason why we lost. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how every single person has said the defense played great? And then you look at this and it's I don't know about that. But you see the 15, right? You see the 15. You see the zeros across the board. And you're like, oh, the defense, this is an elite effort from the defense. I mean, this is ugly, man. Ugly. It's brutal. Winnable game, 100%. No doubt it was winnable. If you told me we'd be 2-1 at week 3, we'd be like, heck yeah, but I want to crush my nuts right now. There you go. Yeah, I mean, offense didn't play well enough against the team bleeding in the secondary. Barkley was running through the defense like it wasn't there. True. I was surprised, and looking back now, recapping everything, I am surprised that we didn't throw the ball more. I am surprised that we didn't try and just feed Olave or get Kamara going in space or whatever. But again, it might have been one of those things where Kubiak just said, I am absolutely not trusting this offensive line to pass protect. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It's not going to happen. Maybe that was the situation. And if that was the situation, okay. If that's what he says, if he's like, yep, we really couldn't take advantage of their secondary because I didn't feel comfortable asking that line to pass protect, and that's it. Okay. I could listen to that. Dennis Allen is still a bum. Got out-coached by Nick Sirianni. Sirianni was an F. This was an F from Sirianni and probably an F from Allen. I mean, maybe not even an F for Allen. It's absolutely an F from Sirianni. But Allen, the field goal is the one decision that I'd go back and forth on. I've seen some people slash some numbers say yeah, going for it was right. I would have kicked it, but I'd say that let's say it's 50-50. That's a 50-50 decision. at the end, like Goddard, is that on Allen or is that on the defensive backs running into each other? Because if it's hard to say like Dennis Allen messed that play call up when you see three people running into each other, right? Clint is not as great as we all thought. Didn't adjust at all to losing McCoy and not having Taysom. Olave was feasting, but we never really fed him. Still somewhat optimistic. If we can stay healthy, but at least this gives us some reasonable expectations for this team. I think everything's still on the table. The only thing that's not on the table is we're going to go undefeated. That's it. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that is not on the table right now. That was on the table before the game. Because the Eagles are a really good team. This isn't the Broncos. We didn't just lose 28-7 or whatever to the Broncos. Like, the Eagles are a legit Super Bowl threat. We threw our DF game at them, and we lost by 3. And they had to score 15 points in the fourth quarter to do it. You know, we still have the most points scored in the league. We still have a 60-point differential. Oh, well, Carolina's ass. Oh, well, Dallas is ass. Okay. Well, you know, maybe but it is what it is. You play who's in front of you. You know, so, yeah, I mean, things are in front of us. And again, I would much rather lose to Philadelphia than Atlanta. So if we're 3-1 after Atlanta, we're back. We're good. We had key players out, made some mistakes. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. We're doomed if McCoy and Ruiz miss any significant time. Yes, absolutely. Well, just like the Falcons. Like the Falcons, if those two linemen don't come back for the Falcons, they're doomed. A whole lot of teams in the NFL, if you're down 2 offensive linemen, you're in a bad spot. Losing one O-line player should not throw your entire offense into the trash can. That's insane. This loss is on the O-line for sure. It's not just one offensive player if that are not one O-line player. It's not one O-line player if that one O-line player is calling the protection for the entire offensive line. It's a little different than just like a one. It's not just one in the injury column. Clutch factor, another amorphous thing. I'm not sure if I agree with it. Just run it through our injured O-line and don't pass it at all playbook. Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I'm kind of surprised we did just run the ball like that, but I would assume it's because of the pass protection. This game was stupid. Why Dennis Allen decides to punt twice inside the 40? The punt on the Philadelphia 40 was crazy. Because I mean, you know, Groupie, that was crazy. Like, punting on the 40 is a terrifying punt. I mean, that is kind of wild. I'm here to rage, cry, and scream, and Carr sucks, and this is the worst team in the NFL. Losing McCoy obviously hurt a lot. He makes adjustments as the line, and while Patrick did a fine job of filling in at center, he didn't make the same reads and adjustments at the line, and guys like Ruiz seemed like they couldn't even function without being told what to do. Stubbornly bad play calling. I hope Kubiak learned that just because your preferred system isn't working. See, I don't think this was the preferred system. I don't think it was the preferred system at all. When they opened back up in the fourth, they moved the ball and scored. You don't need to go into hiding on offense. Find something else that works, or at least keep trying. Defense gave up a lot of yards all game, but made big plays on big situations right up until they didn't, and then blew it pretty bad there at the end. Sometimes you have to win ugly games. The Eagles did that today, and the Saints did. At the end of the day, they're still 2-1 and have played pretty solid football. They lost to another team in the playoffs, not the Panthers or the Bears. The season is not over. Haters and sad, angry weirdos are going to feast today. Reasonable people don't fall into their trap that they're setting. Yeah, that's pretty strong. Pretty strong there. Yeah, I mean, Kubiak, like, I also think the score might have played a factor in that, where Kubiak's looking at the score like, well, let's just get into an ugly, disgusting game. You know, like, let's get into an ugly, disgusting game. We'll try and shorten this game. We'll run the football. Who knows? Like, maybe we'll break one, whatever. Like, maybe that's what Kubiak was thinking. And he didn't want to open the game up. But if that's the case, I do agree. Like, that's way too conservative. Like, sometimes you got to just, you know, I mean, that was an ugly game, but you don't have to make it the ugliest game that ever existed in the NFL. Let's see. Seemed like we had a game plan going into this game. Once McCoy got hurt and threw a wrench into the game plan, all of a sudden our interior O-line was getting wrecked. Instead of adjusting to that, we chose to stick to the game plan. A.T. Perry did... we have the personnel to overcome our situation today. I don't understand how two main players, Taysom and McCoy, can be out and it makes our offense crumble. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I think we all agree there. I mean, yeah, like I said, I hate how much doomer shit I'm seeing as if these aren't two of the best teams in the conference. Like, we need to adapt when Taysom isn't playing, and then McCoy injury really set us back. But to act like it's all over when it's our first loss, more games are worth more than others, and hopefully McCoy's all right and Taysom plays next week. Who dat? Straight pain on to KC. Just straight up skipping the Falcons game. Respect. That's the O-line we saw in the preseason. Well, it's not our O-line. Honestly, we lost because of that missed 2-point conversion play. Same with missed 4th and 1. We couldn't get 1-2 yards the whole game when we needed to. The 2-point conversion play was crazy because it's like, why is Jamal Williams the one running to the marker? Like, why is that not literally anyone else? All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Mixed bag. I mean, mixed bag. Mixed bag on the subreddits. You know, I think, let's see. It's week 3, y'all. The Eagles are a good team. We knew that. Our offense was heavily injured, and our defense held them for 0 points over half the game. The pieces are there. With the New Orleans Saints, the entire city is built off comebacks and resilience. Who dat? If it's crazy because if we would have won this game, like that would be such a. Before the game in my preview, I said I would rather win this game 9-3 or whatever I said instead of 40-0 because I wanted to see us win, you know, in a defensive struggle. I wanted to see us win a tight game, an ugly game. If we would have won this game, if the Eagles don't score, if we stop the 3rd and 16. Like, that would have been such a big deal for us to be able to win a game like this. But, damn. But, I mean, the pieces are there. I do believe that. I do believe the pieces are there. And, again, all this proves is that we're not the 09 Patriots. All right? But the Eagles are a NFC contender. They are a playoff team. They are a Super Bowl caliber team. And if our D game, F game, you know, gives it puts us in this situation, I feel okay. I feel okay. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if we do this 5 more times, we're 11-6 and probably the division champion and hosting a playoff game. So, a whole lot season left for us. Get on down in the comments below. It'll be a tough couple of days here before we move on to the Atlanta game. But we will be covering the game extensively. The content doesn't dry up just because of a loss. So I'll be here all week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.